Today we are going to talk about FindAGrave and some tips and tricks for that. We got all kinds of things to talk about. So we're going to do 3, at least, tips about what you can do on FindAGrave, and it's free. Okay, before we jump in, I kind of have to give you the backstory. This is Hilkiah Winslow. He is my 2 times great-grandfather. Yep, 2 times great-grandfather. I'm on Ancestry here, and over here I'm on FindAGrave. If you're not familiar with FindAGrave, findagrave.com. It's a free website. It's owned by Ancestry. But one of the first things I want to show you is that how you can suggest edits. And why do I want to suggest edits? I am not the manager of this memorial. Keep in mind, FindAGrave is completely volunteer run. And so whoever set this memorial up is listed at the bottom. And it was originally created by Rebecca, but it is now maintained by somebody named Kingsbury. So I can suggest an edit if I want to. Well, why do I want to do that? Because I have more information about this wife here than what is listed here. And so I may want to add that information. So Hilkiah, long story short, I did a whole video on this guy. He was married twice to a woman by the same name. So we have Mary and Mary. And it was very confusing because I was finding Mary had died in 1876, but then in the 1880 census, there's a Mary listed there. And I'm like, what? Huh? What? So what happened? So long story short, he marries twice to a woman by the same name. So he is married to Mary C. Hale here. And then later on in life, he marries a woman named Mary Ann Sperlin. I have this information. And so as I was getting ready to record this episode, I'm like, wait a minute, how do I know that? Because this draws to an 1900 census. So where's the marriage record, Connie? Huh? Where did you find this? Well, thankfully, I had created my research notes. As you know, I love my research notes. And so I had created a note here where I had found the marriage index, and I even put images in here. And thankfully, I remembered to put a source citation, which is, I know you can't see that, it's number 32. So if we scroll down to number 32, I found this marriage record on FamilySearch. So if I click through to that link, I go here. And so here is, where is he? H.K. Winslow to A.S. Sperlin. This is the marriage index. Well, this morning, as I'm getting ready to record this, I'm going, wait a minute. That says 1878. In fact, it says the 10th of December, 1878. But if I look at so you're getting a lot of lessons here all in one. If I look here, it says 1875. So I go in and I hit edit. Pop over here and I decide to edit. I'm already set this up for you. I typed in the 10th of December, 1878, which is, our standard dating. What do we call that? Standard nomenclature for how we write dates in the world of genealogy. And so we always start with that day, then the month spelled out in 3 characters, and 1878. So I added this, but what I also did was, just for grins and giggles, because there's not really an easy way to add a source to this marriage record that comes from FamilySearch, because I'm on Ancestry. But anyway, I'm going to hit save, and so I went ahead and added that, and that's really just easy for someone to do. But I could also, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to close that. I could also add a web link. I could either do it at the top or the bottom. Let me go back up to the top. I could add a web link here if I want to hit that address and say marriage index to Mary Ann Sperlin, I think is how it's spelled, and I could hit add. And so then at the very bottom, it also shows up here as the marriage index under web links. Okay. The only problem with that is on Ancestry, we can't draw from this. What I mean by draw, these lines that go up, and not every record will draw, by the way. Mostly census records and occasional marriage records will. But because this particular marriage index is not on Ancestry that I found, I just put it there for convenience. It's really for those who are visiting my public page that it's convenient for them to grab that URL, because they may not look all the way at the bottom and find it here. So, long story short, I have now managed to edit that, but wait a minute, there's more. So this is really about FindAGrave, right? So let's go over to Hilkiah's thing here, and I want to suggest edits. So I can click on Suggest Edits, and basically what this is going to do is it's going to suggest to the person that is managing this account that I've got further information. So what I'm going to do is, okay, it says I'm not going to change any of this because what I want to do is add information in here about his spouse. Spouse number 2, year married, 1878. And I want to add additional notes. And I'm going to type that there. Okay, we're good. All right, hit Save Suggestion. And now it's back, and your suggestion has been submitted and will be reviewed by the memorial manager. So that is tip number 1, really, is to how to suggest those edits. And I know I had to go through a story to tell you that, but it's important to know. So what I could do also is I could go over to Mary's website and do another suggestion. And I will off camera, but you got the idea how to do it. Another little tip is to leave flowers. You can see here I was last here in 2024. So if I want to leave flowers, I do this every time I visit a memorial. So I hit leave flower. I usually pick something yellow, and yeah, that's all I have to do. And it gives me a timestamp as to when I was here last. So now you can see 2026, I'm here again. Let's go back over to Hilkiah for a second. I'm going to add flowers over here because I haven't done it yet. See, I was last here in 2021. I could actually just leave it, but I like to leave this little timestamp. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a way of saying, hey, I've been here multiple times now, and I find it to be very helpful. All right, let's go back over to Hilkiah's memorial for a second, because here's tip number, I guess this would be number 3. I'm probably going to do more than 3. So we've done the suggested edits. We've talked about flowers, but one of the other things you want to do is, you can see he's buried in Sunset Cemetery. Let's go there. So if we click, this is a hyperlink. By the way, before we go there, copy the memorial ID and add it to your research notes in the source area, because it's invaluable. Just do it. Okay, so let's go to the Sunset Cemetery. So now we are on the Sunset Cemetery page, and you can see as we scroll down there are nearby cemeteries, which is helpful when you're doing research. If you're like, yeah, okay, whoever I'm looking for is not in this cemetery, but it might be in this other one. But here's my tip. Type the last name of whoever, the branch of the family tree that you are looking for, and see if there are any other people. Sure enough, Mary Hale Winslow, his first wife, is buried with him. All right, so let's go back to the cemetery for a minute, and let's go look for a moment at some of the other family members in this part of the tree. So I'm going to go up here. We've got Griffin and Phelps. Let's see if there's any others. There might not be. I haven't done this, so I don't know. Let's search the cemetery for, oh my goodness, there are a lot of Griffins. So it might be that there's some related people here. All right, let's go close that. Let's go. Who was the other one? Winslow. Phelps. Let's go Phelps. Nope, no Phelps. But this can be a big tip if you are searching other names in that cemetery, and you can see everybody that's listed in this cemetery without any filtering. So let's pretend for a moment that there is another person here that you think might be related, that might be buried here, and you don't know their last name, but you only know their first name. You could search by first name and see if anything pops up for you that is of interest. You can see all the flowers. See all the little flowers there? And that's another thing. And another thing. The flowers that you leave, let's go back to Winslow. The flowers that are left, these could be clues. These could be other people that are searching the same person. So it's helpful to pay attention to that. You could even email them through the FindAGrave website to see if any of that pans out to be helpful, because it might be, sometimes like here, I put my 2 times great grandfather. Well, if they, put something in there like, hey, I've got the family Bible, don't you wish? Then it might be helpful. So if you pop back over to the memorial, you can also go and see the images in the gallery. So if we click into the gallery for a second, you can also view the original, which would bring it up really full. Now, this particular one, somebody had cropped this in such a way that it was just him, because his wife is on the bottom half of this tombstone. So we can bug out of that and go back over here. I'm going to close that. So then you can go to the next image if you want, which is awesome. And whenever you're in a cemetery and you're taking photographs, please take a wide shot so that you can see who's buried around. Thank you for whoever did this. Taking a wide shot sometimes helps, because you might see a tombstone over here that is a brother or a child or somebody else that is in the family. So because a lot of times these cemeteries will reserve a whole plot for the family. Here's a tip that not very many people know about, and that is virtual cemeteries. So while you're on FindAGrave, you can save your ancestor, right? Save your ancestor to a virtual cemetery. What is this, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked, because what it is it is a way to, let me bug out of this for a second. You can save all of these people. Let's say they're all in your family, right? You can save all of these people to a virtual cemetery that you create. It doesn't matter if they're buried all in the same place or not. They could be buried half a world away, but you could add them all to the, let's call it the Winslow virtual cemetery. So what you do is you hit save and you go to virtual cemetery. Well, I don't have a Winslow virtual cemetery, so let's create one. So right here, I hit create, and I'm going to call it the Winslow virtual cemetery. Let's call it Winslow family. And I'm going to hit create. And now it's automatically checked that box for Hilkiah here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit done. And now I have saved Hilkiah to that virtual cemetery. Well, how do you see the virtual cemetery, you ask? I'm glad you asked, because you can come over to your icon over here and hit virtual cemeteries, and now you can see them all. They upgraded this recently, so I think you could probably put a thumbnail in there. I'm not sure. If anybody knows, please put a comment in the section in the video, and then we can all know. So here, let's find one here. Well, let's go down. Here's the Winslow. It's only got one person in it so far, but let's find one that has several people in it. Here is Davis's from Randolph County. This is where I have put several people in here, and they are in different cemeteries. As you can see, we've got the Riverside Cemetery, the Back Creek Cemetery, the Pioneer Cemetery, the Marlboro Friends Cemetery, the Douglas. All 5 of these people are in different cemeteries, but they all belong to one virtual cemetery. Okay. Oh, this is where I can change the cover picture. Sure enough, there it is. Back over on Hilkiah, I can now add his spouses. So if I want to go and open this one in a new tab, let's say, and now I want to add her, save her to a virtual cemetery. I'm now going to pick Winslow and say done. Even though she was married to a Winslow, her maiden name was something else. Okay? So that's how you do it.